the border deal may or probably may not, will definitely not pass Congress. Now, why are we talking about the border deal right now? What the hell is this deal? And Jordan, I'm sure you remember, but for people who are like, what are we doing? It's beyond just that it's an election year and we got to like ratchet up fear against, you know, like unaccompanied minors who I guess are taking our jobs, even though we're trying to put them to work. And anyway, but that's because remember how Republicans really didn't want to sign off on more aid to Ukraine. No specific reason they get money from Putin. No specific agenda. Tucker Carlson is in Moscow right now. Just that they don't want more money to, you know, give to Ukraine. And Democrats, specifically Joe Biden, wants to give more money to Israel. All that, you know, foreign funding or whatnot is in this bill. But then Republicans were like, nah, we want our war, the border war. So they were like, we want more money to go to the border. This is the war we want. So a bill was drafted and the James Lankford, Republican James Lankford, who definitely is a sentient like marionette doll. We'll see him in a second. He and Chris Coons and have co-sponsored this bill. Chuck Schumer's all in for it. Joe Biden is all in for it. What the hell is this bill and why are Republicans not going to vote for it? So a few things. It raises the bar for to qualify for asylum. It provides a bunch more money for border cops and for processing asylum seekers faster, but often that means removing them and also detaining them. It gives the president new authority to shut down the entire border when like a certain, it's almost like a how many people went to Disneyland today? It's like tick, tick, tick. It's like, oh, too many. So, and then Disneyland shuts down. But in this case, it's the US-Mexico border. And so if there, I think it's like 5,000 migrants attempt to go through legally, then suddenly the border shuts down. It's some really, really dark ass, like fun house of mirrors, except it's very unfun. The National Immigrant Justice Center has said, and this is from their director, Mary Meg McCarthy, that President Biden campaigned 3 years ago on the promise of restoring America's historic status as a safe haven for refugees and asylum seekers. Now, near the end of his presidential term, he's threatening to close the southern border and shepherd legislation which would violate humanitarian norms and international refugee law. The proposals in this bill would subject people to some summary expulsions, draconian screenings designed to fail, or mandatory incarceration simply because they're exercising their right to seek refuge. This proposal fails to provide an effective response to increases in global humanitarian displacement. Okay, so that's the bill. It is bad, Jordan. I don't know what you've heard of it or your response, but let's just take the fact that like Biden and Democrats are on board for this bill. Not all of them. But like, I think Senator Alex Padilla of California is against this bill. Obviously you have immigrant rights groups saying they're against this bill, but the fact that this is being floated as this is the solution, it is a very Republican, it is a right-wing bill, but your thoughts?
No, it absolutely is. There's nothing in this bill for dreamers. Just think back 5 years, and any time, at any point during the Trump era on immigration, that was the one thing Democrats pretended to care about. It's the one thing they acted like they would use opportunities where they had leverage to fight for. Mm-hmm. And they didn't. They let those opportunities pass. They never followed through on that deal with McConnell a few years ago where he said, oh, you passed this continuing aid or funding package, we'll get you a deal or get you a bill on the floor for a vote on Dreamers. Nothing. Yeah. It's not even mentioned here. It is a purely right-wing immigration bill, and the thing that the Democrats want, which is war funding, funding for Ukraine, funding for Israel. That's the package. That's a shit deal. Yeah. And despite giving Republicans everything they wanted on this, which I would argue is a bad strategy, they're still not happy. They're still going to kill it in the House. Mike Johnson has made it pretty clear he's just going to kill it in the House. So it likely is not going to pass. Democrats and Biden, the Biden campaign officials have already told the press, even if it fails, they're going to hit the road and they're going to campaign on, well, we tried to do a tough immigration bill. We tried to get this passed, but Republicans blocked it.
Yeah.
Republicans are just doing because they want this problem to fester because they think it'll help Trump in 2024. This is a really sad state of affairs.
You know, everything is so sad, but I've been so disappointed. Like, I think I've reached a depth of sadness about this administration. And I don't know if it's not cynicism. It's just like, there's a part of me that's like, I don't know, maybe that'll work for whatever dipshit xenophobe wants to vote for Biden. It's not me. It's not you. It's not any of my friends. It's not, you know what I'm saying? It's not the people who voted for him in 2020, really, but maybe this will work. Do you know, like, my brain is like doing what I think like some of the Democrats are like, well, this is totally going to work for, you know, like 5 people. But anyway, to your point that they're not even going to pass it. This is James Lankford speaking with Fox, and he's like, but I'm putting up this bill. This is what we remember how you guys were like, no funding for Ukraine or Israel without the border stuff. I did a border thing. And here he is.
Here's what Speaker Johnson said. I have seen enough. This bill is even worse than we expected. It won't come close to any of the border catastrophe the president has created. As the lead Democrat negotiator proclaimed, under this legislation, the border never closes. If this bill reaches the House, it will be dead on arrival. Your thoughts?
Yeah, unfortunately, he would step out and be able to say that right away before, obviously, he had had a chance to be able to read it as well and to be able to go through it. The key aspect of this, again, is are we as Republicans going to have press conferences and complain the border's bad and then intentionally leave it open? After the worst month in American history in December, now we've got to actually determine, are we going to just complain about things, or are we going to actually address and to change as many things as we can?
Have you met your party, sir? Like, do you know who you're a part of here? You guys thrive on doing nothing. That's what you do. You don't even know what to do with the majority. You have no idea. We're going to impeach people. And then they want to testify. And you're like, no, we don't want to testify. We like, it is just so funny to me that it's really adorable that there are still people who like in the Republican Party who believe that they're there to get things done and not be like an upward funnel of money from the poor to the rich.
Yeah, it's kind of a difficult situation for Lankford, who, as you point out, like should understand what the game is here, but doesn't. Like he does seem like he's trying to get this passed, and he seems to have spent a lot of time on it. And actually, like, I would obviously disagree with these solutions. But that's what he thinks the plan ahead should be. Yeah. So it is kind of funny that he just doesn't recognize and is confused. And this is multiple interviews like this, where he's fighting with his own party. He's fighting with Mike Johnson in the press, clearly not recognizing that Trump just told him, don't let this pass. Let this fester. Let this problem continue to grow. And it becomes a nightmare for Biden. Because the media will run with it. And sure enough, in September or October, we'll get another migrant caravan news cycle that they will obsess over in the run-up to the election. But again, like, I mean, look, as you said, maybe if Biden campaigns on this, that we tried to do this horrible draconian bill that absolutely hands way too much power to the executive branch to just shut down the border and violate international law, which, by the way, is a thing I've been doing because I continued Trump's policy, you know, from under the pandemic and denied people asylum seeking. Like, again, maybe that will work. I don't know. I mean, at least it's a idea. like, you know, like my like jaded ass brain is like, I mean, they have something. It's not what anybody wants. It's really bad for everyone involved, but maybe it can work. Kill me. Speaking of killing people, no, I'm kidding. But there is an angle to this, and we have to move on. But I do want to mention that Mr. Greg Abbott, just a evil villain of a dude, is trying to make the border all about him. And I wasn't really privy to what the hell was going on, but Judd Legum sort of had a very long like thread about this, and I don't want to belabor it too much, but basically, like, there is a park, what is it called? Shelby. There we go. All right, here we go. I don't want to, but let's go into it really, really quickly. So there's Shelby Park,
and Texas has enclosed 47 acres of it. Now, this is supposed to be for the U.S. Border Patrol. The Border Patrol can't even get into it. It's apparently staging area for policing and interdiction operations along with the Rio Grande. On January 12th, 3 migrants drowned near the park. When border agents went to Shelby Park to address the situation, they were denied access. I mean, wild shit. So now there was basically the illegal case that came down, and it was from the Fifth Circuit that granted Texas an injunction that prevented the feds from cutting the razor wire, but the Supreme Court overturned the injunction, allowing federal officials to remove the wire. So effectively, remember, this is all just about Greg Abbott's little razor wire that he wanted to put up and put down, and the Supreme Court's like, nah, you have to let the feds remove your stupid wire. That's what happened. And Greg Abbott, it's like, never! Secession. Greg Abbott is losing his goddamn mind. So he's issuing a statement. He's invoking the Constitution. He's saying the compact has been broken between the United States and the states. It was championed by John C. Calhoun, one of the staunchest defenders of slavery, and used to justify secession. So Greg Abbott is trying to be like, nuh-uh, we're a sovereign nation, blah, 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 blah. Judd goes into talking about how there is this is an invasion of migrants, and the U.S. government is not properly protecting us from said invasion. Ergo, we're not part of you no more. And a little bit, Jordan, I'm like, bye.
I mean, look, my fiance's from Texas, so it's and I've heard this argument from her. It's there are people who would love to change that system, love to change that government, who live there and are effectively powerless because the Republicans have control over that state and that government. So up until a couple years ago, it would have been all right, yeah, sure, whatever. But I'm sympathetic to that argument. It's we got to fight for them because they don't have power in that state.
I mean, honestly, and if it's Texas v. Florida, I'm going with Texas over Florida. I just got to say, Beyonce to stay or Texas. Leave? Oh, to stay. I would say Texas stays, Florida goes, but I digress. But yeah, so he's turning this into, and it's unclear why. Is he doing it for Trump himself? Probably a future run at the White House.
It could be all of that. I think they think they can win this case in the court of public opinion. And in a way they are, because you have all of these states who are showing support, sending National Guardsmen down there. And one thing that's really concerning to me is that despite the Supreme Court ruling, they're just not going to comply. At that point, what do you do? What authority or what punishment? What are the next steps after that? Because with so much of our government that we've seen over the past several years, it only works if everyone pretends that it matters. And Republicans, and especially Trump, just made it clear. It's I'm not playing by those rules. Democrats still bind themselves to these kind of imaginary constructs that the whole system relies on us all pretending. And now Abbott is just saying, all right, what are you going to do about it?
But exactly. And it's so random too. Why are you making enemies of the Border Patrol? This is one of the biggest government agencies. Their jurisdiction is wild. They have so much money. They have so much funds. You're totally full of it to claim that they don't have what they need to, actually police the border again against women who want to escape cartel violence in their home countries. It is. And we all know how radicalized the Border Patrol are. Border Patrol are open Nazis. They're oh yeah, we love cracking skulls of migrants. That's what we do. They are open about that. They regularly defy at least Biden. They've done that before, and they're not extreme enough for Greg effing Abbott. What?
Well, the people that this is inspiring also, that's alarming. I don't know if you saw, but shortly before we hopped on, Rolling Stone published a piece about a malicious sniper who went down there planning to attack people. He wanted to just set up camp, and he had tannerite, and he was making explosives, and was just going to start picking people off. You're inspiring some of the most psychotic people in this country with this action too.
What's going on, Frantifa? If you haven't already, subscribe to this channel right now. Hit that button. And also, you can become a patron and support the show every single week. Get access to bonus episodes and exclusive merchandise. Patreon.com/bitchuation room. Do it.